Welcome to today's video. I'm John, this is DempseyJ Illustrations, and today we'll be drawing Dinobots. I quite enjoyed the concept of these Autobots in the original TV series and movie, so I thought I'd draw the first generation Transformer Dinobots and I'd put my spin and style into it. So let's get into the art. Oh, wait. Before we get started, if you want to see more Transformer stuff on this channel, smash that like button to let me know. It makes YouTube happy, helps the channel grow. More importantly, it lets me know you guys are enjoying the content that I'm putting out. Anyway, let's get into the drawing. So, first up, we have Slag. And a bit of background about Slag, I'm going to have to read this. Slag is a Dinobot most likely to live up to the team's bad reputation. The Dinobots kind of have a bad reputation. They're kind of like the rebels of the Autobots. Slag is surly, mean-spirited, nasty, and disturbingly violent, to the point where it really is a wonder he's not a Decepticon. Slag will fight anyone over anything at the drop of a microchip, and fight dirty. Slag enjoys nothing more than reducing his enemies to pools of molten metal with his fire breath. He only follows orders from Grimlock, the leader of the Dinobots. All in all, I think that Slag has a cool design. He basically transforms into a Triceratops, which I think is quite cool. And he has a bit of a rebellious attitude, which I thought was quite a nice change from all the friendly Autobots. And for this piece, I wanted to keep close to the original design of the character. So the original design is there, but as you'll see in the rendering stage, I wanted to bring my own style into it. I did kind of darken the colors a little bit on some aspects. I took a bit of creative freedom on some of the Dinobots, and you'll see throughout this video. I wanted to add a bit more personality and character to them to suit their attitudes. So some of the colors may be a bit darker, but at the same time, they're consistent because they are a group of Dinobots. They are quite similar in terms of their color scheme. And near the end, at the end, I put a galaxy background on it. I think at the moment I've got a thing for galaxy backgrounds. I think they help the characters stand out a bit more. But in this set of series of illustrations on the Dinobots in the video, it's more to help the characters stand out. And I did put a purple kind of like glow behind them. Because of this, it does look a little bit of a Decepticon style and feel, but at the same time, I think it helps the character stand out from the background. And yeah, I also hope you enjoy how Slag, one of the Dinobots, came out. Okay, so our next Dinobot, the second one we're drawing out of 5 today, is Snarl. Now, the information about Snarl is that he's unhappy, unsociable, and a bit of a loner. He grudgingly follows Grimlock's orders, and that's about it. He leaves the thinking to others. He has few opinions and he rarely expresses himself. If he does have one, Snarl's uncommunicative nature only serves to fuel his sense of isolation within the Autobots. I mean, all the other Autobots are quite friendly and, you know, they get on well together. In his case, he feels a bit of an outcast, a bit of, he doesn't quite fit in isolation, finds it hard to communicate, basically. On top of all this, he hates the ungainly stegosaur form he has, given to him by the Ark, the Transformers spaceship. He feels that the war on Earth means he may never get to see his beloved home planet Cybertron again, which, you know, feeling homesick can make you feel a bit uncommunicative and a bit isolated on a different place, on a planet stranded there. Completely get that. And only in war does he seem happy. So he's basically, he likes to get into the action of combat. He doesn't have to think when he's fighting. He can just throw himself in it and basically get on with it. Only the joy of combat washes away the ache in his spark, it says in part of the description about him, and it lets him forget anything but the rising thrill of the fight. So basically, he's a fighter. He loves it. So for these reasons, he revels in combat. I do think, even though the character doesn't like his form himself, I think the Stegosaurus design is quite a cool concept. I think that the design itself looks quite cool and it suits him. It is one of the more simplistic designs of the Dinobots, but it's well balanced and it does suit him well. However, in his robot mode, I decided to make some of the colours a bit more darker than they normally would be, just because of the idea of the loner and sort of like the down mood of the character. Because as I say, I'm trying to bring a bit of personality into these characters. Okay, so our third Dinobot is Swoop. Now, he's the only Dinobot that has any aerial presence. He can fly. He transforms to a pterodactyl, and he's surprisingly good-natured. If you want a bit of info about him, he's pretty much kind and upbeat. He's one of them, well, he is the most friendliest Dinobot going. But the team's reputation and the fact that his appearance as a pterodactyl doesn't actually, in the sort of Transformers world, it's classed as an horrifying look. It's not actually something they class as a beautiful or elegant or even just a common Transformer mode. But he basically uses the fear it instills against the Decepticons. He's turned what everybody doesn't like about it into one of his greatest weapons, and he's very proud of that fact, which I think is a pretty cool lesson. You know, you got a weakness, turn it to a strength. Brilliant. Like all the Dinobots, he tends to be a bit arrogant, disobedient, and generally disagrees with Optimus Prime. Most Dinobots think that the leader should be a strong leader, you know. So the strongest should be the leader, not the wisest or the or a prime, as it were. And he's also a little bit of a show-off, so I did quite like that. He's kind of like the hot rod of the group, sort of like the young hot rod before he becomes Rodimus. Always showing off and kind of making games and fun out of what he's doing. I do quite like the design. I think it's quite interesting on the character. And again, with the colours, I tried to keep them fitting the personality. So his colours are a bit brighter than the previous two. And I wanted to keep the style consistent throughout all the Dinobot illustrations that we're doing, because at the end I decided to put them into one illustration. So I will show the final illustration of them all together after I finish all the Autobots, well, all the Dinobots, as it were. But yeah, I hope you enjoy the character. I hope you enjoy how I bring him to life and the dynamic pose for him. And we'll move on to the next Dinobot. in a minute. So our fourth Dinobot is Sludge. Now, Grimlock would describe Sludge as sludge dumb. Basically, in a lot of cases, the Dinobots aren't the smartest Autobots in the group. However, Sludge is kind of an exception to the rule. He really is a well, the description says he is literally the genuine article. He's not very mentally adept as the other Autobots are. However, he does make up for this with his physical strength and the fact that he can transform into, I believe it's a Brontosaurus, means that he is pretty much the second strongest Dinobot there is under Grimlock. And Sludge, he can't make much of an impression in the mental department, and this is from the description. He likes to make his presence known physically. He'll stomp his hefty hide around just so you know he's there. So you often find him in his Dinobot form stomping around the place just so people know he's about, which is a bit of a, hey look, I'm here. And none of the Dinobots really like Optimus Prime, but Sludge and Slag share an especially intense dislike for him. Basically, they have a strong feeling, which the Dinobots all have, that the strongest should be the leader, and in their mind, Grimlock is the strongest Autobot. But Sludge generally believes in the Autobot cause, so he tolerates Prime, as it were. So he may be a Dinobot of few words, but he does have his uses in the team. He's a bit of the powerhouse, really. I really do like his robot form. I think it is simple and it is well balanced. The design does fit what they're going with the character. A simple character, a simple design. It's not too complex. And I don't know, I just think it looks really well, as I say, well balanced. And yeah, I hope you enjoy how Sludge came out. And finally, we have the commander of the Dinobots, the king of the Dinobots, Grimlock. Now, basically the description about Grimlock is that some Autobots wonder why Grimlock is even on their side. His disposition is much more suited for the Decepticons, and in the early Generation 1, because Grimlock thinks he's the strongest, he thinks things should be done his way, basically. He's happy to go out and even kind of have the values of a Decepticon, so strength and power are key to him. I think it's because his form's a T-Rex and it's the king of the dinosaurs. T-Rex is pretty much the strongest and most powerful dinosaurs there were. And he doesn't really believe in wisdom, compassion, and all that like a lot of the Autobots do. But when faced with a problem, his usual response is to slice it with his energy sword, or to tear it to pieces and even turn to his Dinobot T-Rex form and eat it. So I think everybody's had a case where they've eaten their problems away, but he literally does eat his problems away. And in terms of his philosophy, he's more than happy to have casualties, and he doesn't really worry if they're humans or fleshies, as he refers to them as sometimes. And yeah, he basically thinks casualties are a part of it. You know, he doesn't have a problem with it. And he does dislike Optimus Prime. However, he doesn't have a problem offering Prime up to the Decepticons if he thinks he can get away with it. And what the Autobots don't realise is that the only thing he hates more than the weakness of not strength and power is those who abuse their strength. So he's all for strength and power, but he's also for the fact of using it the right way, which is a very good lesson. And surprisingly, a Dinobot that's rude and arrogant and not all there knows this, which is a really nice concept. And when push comes to shove, Grimlock will always fall on the right side, so always do the right thing. Basically, despite their disagreements, Grimlock holds a respect for Prime's strength and leadership. So even though Grimlock thinks he's the strongest and he should lead, he respects Optimus Prime because of how strong and pretty much how he leads the Autobots, which is quite a nice trait to have. Now, for Grimlock, he's one of my favourite Dinobots. In fact, he is the favourite Dinobot I've got, and I think this illustration's my favourite one. I'm really happy with how his robot form came out. And I wanted to make him a bit brighter than the rest of the Dinobots. He's the leader, but he's also the king, as it were, of the dinosaurs. So I made his colours a bit lighter, a bit brighter, so they're a bit shinier. More for that royal king aspect, as it were, but also the fact of his strength. So I decided his character would be quite self-confident, and he would pretty much have, you know, quite a bright, almost a glow to him in a sense in that regard. As I say, I think it's my favourite one, this illustration, but let me know what you guys think in the comments below. And next up, you will see the final illustration of them all together. Well, I hope you enjoyed joining me on illustrating the Dinobots. I had a lot of fun doing this, and I'm quite enjoying doing the Transformer illustrations. I think next time I'm going to do a group of Transformers, say 5 of them. I'm going to give it a little bit more time. It took a bit longer than I thought, but I also wanted to get this right. I hope you guys love how the combined illustration came out. I decided to put them in kind of like a volcanic erupting on Earth. The Dinobots had a prehistoric feel to it. And like I say, I hope you enjoyed. If you did, smash that like button to let me know. It helps the channel grow and YouTube loves it. Subscribe and turn on notifications to stay up to date with videos as they come out. And I will see you next time.